My ex stole my baby, y'all. My ex stole my baby, and there is jack shit I can do about it. When I expected to go and get my daughter, and I didn't, by day number 2, I was a hot ass mess. I was a wreck. Like, I'm never gonna see my baby again. And I kept on thinking back to the guys that I know that have been dealing with this same fucking situation, you know, because what I'm going through, it's not unique to me. Most often, there is a guy sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in that is dealing with a woman that refuses to allow him to see his child for whatever reason. And so I found myself kind of trying to channel all my inner baby daddy. And the thing that I've learned from a lot of these fathers is how to be savage, how to turn off that part of your heart that should never have to turn off. Having to pour yourself into every other thing to distract you from the immense pain at the insane amount of injustice. Although it is against the rules, who the fuck is gonna enforce it? The time frame that I'm quoted, 2 to 6 months, just to get a judge to see it. I about died, y'all. When I was able to see exactly how unfucking useful our justice system is, it made me sick to my stomach. Man, y'all. Man, oh man. That nigga fooled the fuck out of me, y'all. I have just been, for the past May, June, July, August, for the past like 4 months, I have just been living my best, my very best MILF life, y'all. I have been dibbling and dabbling, just frolicking in these streets. And I've been having the time of my life. I have been truly enjoying myself. And I just knew that I was finally fuck nigga free. I just knew it, y'all. But that ex of mine, my ex, bless his raggedy ass heart, he had other plans for me, apparently. You know, I used to think that God just had like a really like shitty sense of humor, but now the more and more that I think of it, I think he's just been preparing me for whatever fuck shit he saw down the line for me, you know, like it happens often, but it's also happened in this situation that I'm going to speak on, that I'm sitting like I'm wrestling with something, something's heavy on my mind. It's just the topic, you know? So I've been journaling a lot lately, always journaling, but specifically on a specific topic. And then shortly thereafter, I'm confronted with the why I had to wrestle with this thing, you know? So lately I had been journaling for an episode, but it was what had been on my heart, about bitter baby moms. And because I can't stand a bitter baby mom. You know, usually what we hear is about the baby mom that is doing everything that she can, showing out for her child, and the terrible shitty ass dad that pops up when he wants to, or is there but doesn't do anything, or just some kind of way no good, or doesn't show up at all. But that's not all that's out there. And most of the time, because, you know, I try not to surround myself with trash ass people. I mean, I married one, but anyways, that's beyond the point. So I know a lot of really good fathers, amazing fathers, that unfortunately have to contend with a baby mom that for whatever reason, can't find the space in her heart to leave him the fuck alone. Can't find the room to allow him to be a dad. Not that he got it perfect, but also not many of us have it. I don't think any of us actually have it perfect. Mothers, fathers alike, you know? But having to fight through her bitterness, her anger, her resentment, whatever the fuck she's going through emotionally, just to be able to show up for his kid. And I can't stand that shit. I can't stand it. But as I was working through this, I had to acknowledge the pain that they are dealing with and how heightened it is when you have gone through the struggle of a relationship failing and the subsequent heartbreak, and then having to be met with the reminder of that whole situation every single day. You know, every single day that you look at your child or that you have to meet for some kind of exchange. Just the co-parenting process is just this constant reminder of so many things that were bad for you, you know? And then that's on a good day. That's when nothing else is wrong. Now, add to that, you know, the uneven amount of responsibility in a child's life, the uneven effects, uneven damage that's caused, people going off at the mouth, just all the other things that happen in regular relationships. Add that to the already miserable situation that you have to deal with, and then tell them to be the bigger person every day. You know, like, that is a lot, you know? So I understand, even though I never will agree with somebody getting in the way of a child and their parent having a successful or healthy relationship, I do understand the emotions that are like weighty that people are dealing with that cause them to then act out. And so while I was working through this, the father of my child lost his everlasting mind. And so I find myself having to eat all of those words. Not that they weren't right. I still wholly stand behind them, but I don't care right now, because right now in this space, compassion is probably the last emotion that I have, at least for him, maybe for others, but not for him. And so I'm going to have to re-record that episode because I have an altogether different perspective. Well, not altogether different. I have additional perspective on that original perspective. So today is going to be a story time. It's from the Book of Tragedies, with, you know, your girl as the leading star, protagonist, if you will. I put out a status a couple, I don't know how long ago it was now, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks, I don't fucking know, saying bitter baby dads are absolutely a thing. This is where that stems from. Now, you know, this situation happened long enough ago that I could have been put out an episode on this. But the story keeps just fucking unfolding in ways that I never would have known. So this story doesn't have an ending yet. It is not resolved. And I almost shudder to think that maybe now is not the time, but also God has been rallying his troops, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for my village. When I tell you, I can feel them showing up on my behalf, which is so encouraging because I know who sent them. I know the God that I serve, and I know that that's who sent them, to also encourage me to take this step and put this out. I said this before, I don't really like to speak on things when I'm in the midst of them, because I know that my perspective is not as objective as I'd like it to be, meaning I may have to come and walk some of this shit back, but nonetheless, I'm here. Whew. Well, all right, let's dive in because it's probably going to be longer than I already expect. So my ex stole my baby, y'all. my ex stole my baby, and there is jack shit I can do about it. Anything real, right? So, I mean, there are things, but definitely not anything that makes me feel good about the situation, given that it's technically a kidnapping. All right, so let's start the lead up. So, divorce was finalized. Great, super happy, and like I said, I've mentioned many times before, everything seemed to go back to normal, as normal as it can be. Meaning, my ex was no longer stonewalling me like he had been during the divorce. Meaning, he'd answer text messages. He'd even call me back. He treated me like a normal human being. I know that sounds wild, but yeah, it got very wild. It seemed he treated me as though we could not speak without like going to blows when there's literally no history of any of that kind of stuff. But it was what it was. I could not force him to talk to me to work through our differences or whatever issues through the divorce that we were trying to settle. And so I just learned to, all right, back off, because he's not going to give in. He's just going to keep this wall up. Well, after the divorce was finalized, the wall kind of came down, and I was so grateful. I didn't know why. I didn't care why. I was just happy to be able to co-parent kind of normally, right? Well, one thing that we had been kind of at odds about was the issue of daycare, and I got to put that in another episode, but it's something that I want to address. I have been wanting to address it. It's another episode. Anyways, we've been at odds about the daycare situation since forever at this point. Well, we were fine up until it was time to start getting her into daycare, was when he no longer was on board, and I couldn't do anything about it. But through the divorce, one thing that I was able to achieve was requiring him to pay half of the daycare costs. In my mind, the hope was so that you would participate with me, and so that she could go consistently full time. So he ended up having to pay half of the daycare costs, but still just refused to take her on his day. So it was what it was. I made my peace with it. She'll just go when she's with me. Fine. Towards the end of the divorce process, he did open up and say he was willing to bring her, and didn't have a problem with daycare, and actually thought that it could be beneficial. The problem was he lived too far away, right? So once the divorce was finalized, I said, hey, you know what? I have actually been searching for options, affordable options for daycares that are close to you. I actually have a spot for her held through the state, through the program that I already enrolled her in, and they actually will place her in the nearest school like that offers the program she needs by you. His response was, you know what? I'm actually thinking about moving, and so I don't want to get anything started over here because, hopefully I'm gonna move closer to your way, and I can just take her to the daycare that you already have her at. When I tell you, I was so overjoyed. Like, it's something so simple that I have been wanting for so long, just to give my daughter some semblance of consistency, like, for one, it has the resources that she needs, and for two, having her kind of jump in and jump out, like going 2 to 3 days a week because she only goes on the days that she's with me, it's so not effective, and so yeah, this was like a dream come true. So I was so happy. Now that happened, he told me that way back when the divorce was finalized in April. Months go by, I'm checking in during pickups. Hey, how's the new place search going? Like, are you still planning on moving? Like, and that's when, I wasn't fully blocked out, but it was very clear that he wasn't about to share no information. And so he'd just be like, we'll see, still looking, I don't know. And that's pretty much the most that I got. So I kind of deaded it and just stopped. I stopped inquiring because I've learned how to deal with him. He will do this. Everything is like on a need to know basis, or even less. And I manage myself. I manage my expectations by not expecting shit, so that I don't have to deal with the emotional, repercussions of just wanting a normal like relationship. So anyways, months go by, and then I guess this must have been the beginning of August, maybe. He basically says he wants to come and check out her school, and I'm like, what? You think you're moving soon or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got so excited. I went and I scheduled like a night to like give him a tour and everything. I was so excited. I told his teacher, because my daughter's teacher had also been like, when is Zuri gonna come the rest of the days? You know, it's so hard to like implement things, potty train her, all this stuff when she's only here a couple days a week. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying to get her dad to get on board, but I really can't force him. So maybe. And so I finally get to tell her, guess what? I think he's going to bring her. I think he's moving. He says he's going to bring her here. Like, he's coming tonight. I'm going to introduce you to him. I'm going to give him a tour. I was so excited. And I literally had to tell her, all right, but we don't really know how it's going to go. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes smoothly. He shows up, all that stuff. So anyways, he comes. I introduce him to her teacher, show him her class, show him the playground. Like, I'm over here excited. And then everything goes well. I get him set up for to be able to do pickups and drop-offs, get him in the system, and then that's it. So we go outside. I think it was his turn to take my daughter home. So I went to go get, her book bag or blanket or whatever out of the car to give to him. And on the way to the car, he says, I'm moving this week. And also, I have a girlfriend. And also, we're moving in together. And my initial reaction, y'all, God honest truth, I was elated for him. I said, oh my gosh, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Those were the words that came out of my mouth. Because I had long assumed that he might be out here in these streets, because your girl has been in these streets. So it was only natural that I would think that, he's probably dibbling and dabbling as well. And I made my peace with that. Thank God. I had sat with it long enough that I was actually excited about the idea of him having a girlfriend. Mostly because we have a daughter together. And so to know that there's another womanly, motherly influence in her life when she's not with me, it's comforting, And low-key, I was hopeful that he would find somebody that could braid, because doing 2 heads of 4C hair, y'all, it is the ghetto. It's the absolute ghetto. And I could use a village to come rally around this hair. So, but anyways, that didn't work out in my favor. But either way, I was okay with him having, a girlfriend or whatever. Then a couple seconds later, it set in that, oh, wait. Girlfriend, cool. Moving in, that's different. She's about to be a bonus mom to my baby. And I don't know her. I don't know her name. I don't know her background. I don't know her ethnicity. I don't know if she's a serial killer, a rapist. I don't know what the hell she is. I didn't even know she existed until 5 seconds ago, right? So that kind of set in, and that's when the goddamn, why you got to be so trash, started to set in. But I kept it to myself, y'all. He said, if you want to meet her, we can set something up. And I was like, oh yeah, right. That's right. I should probably meet her. I'm assuming that she's already been around Zuri since you guys are moving in together. Yeah. And he nodded his head. I think I probably said it too quick. I don't think he wanted me to know that, but it happened, in real time. And so, yes, she's been around my daughter long enough for my daughter to know her. And so, yeah, it's probably good for me to meet her, even though she's already been in the life, So also, he said this week, he's moving this week. So that gave me about 4 days to meet her, be comfortable with her before she was actually living in the same house with my daughter. So that was a garbage move, but what can I do, right? That's something that y'all need to know. Like, you are not required to be moral, to be decent, to be honorable, to be a parent, to be a co-parent, any of those things. And as a co-parent, you don't have control over those things unless you put them in writing. And even then, which I'll get to later, the enforcing of those things is absolute bullshit. So, anyways, I have gone through this process with him long enough to know that there's no sense in basically crying over spilt milk. Like, it's done. I need to go ahead and get on the path to getting over it, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so I left and, started to, vent, called all the people that I needed to kind of get that initial shit out of my system. How could he? Why would he wait to tell me this until, 4 days before they moved in together? Obviously, you've known her longer. Obviously, things got serious way before. Enough for you guys to want to move in together. Enough for you guys to find a place together. Like, you been knew this. You been knew this girl was serious. And you been knew, I'm sorry, I'm saying this. You've known for a long time that you guys were going to move in together, long enough that you didn't have to wait till 4 days before. Anyways, got that shit off my chest. Talked to, all the co-parents that I know that are having to deal with a bonus mom or bonus dad, just to get kind of some pointers on how to approach the situation. Because what I didn't want to come at her sideways like, bitch, you better, like, I'm not here to be with that energy. If she's going to be in my daughter's life, I want us to have a good relationship, right? I'm not looking to, like, I didn't think that my ex would bring somebody crazy or dangerous into my daughter's life. I just wasn't sure that she wouldn't be stupid, I kind of was like, he probably got a dumb bitch. So I think that was my primary concern. But anyways, I just wanted to approach her woman to woman, no hard feelings. Like, at this point, we're a team. Whatever y'all relationship is or was, you living with my daughter, we are a team kind of thing. So I ended up, we set up a time to meet. We met at a Starbucks, sat with them both. First few minutes, I, just addressed my ex saying, before I even go the route of trying to get to know her, the woman, I wanted to know how much she was going to be involved in my daughter's life, because if she's just going to be a, innocent bystander that just happens to live in the same place, then perhaps I don't need to be all up in hers, not that I need to be all up in her business either way, but there's a difference between somebody that is just there and somebody that's actually going to be one of her caregivers. And so once they said, yes, she's going to be pretty involved, then I said, okay, now I understand the posture that I need to take with you. And so I ended up asking my ex to excuse us so that we could kind of talk without any kind of other pressures. And he did, and it went great. I had absolutely no problem with her. She seemed to be fairly sensible. She's a mother herself. She understands the plight of a mother, so there was that. She's also a fellow divorcee, so she understands marriage. She understands the complications of co-parenting. She understands the complications of bringing significant others into the equation. So we already have enough of experience and knowledge base to start off in a good place. I'm not having to teach anybody anything. As a matter of fact, she could teach me a few things about some of the, dynamics that we're having to now deal with. So, and during the process, I also found out that she shared a lot of the same perspectives on things as I did, especially regarding my daughter. So I was like, hell yeah, this is perfect. Like, I am so here for it. You go ahead and be my representative in that house. So anyways, I think I hugged that lady 3 times during our conversation, because I was just so, y'all, the possibilities of what I could have encountered are endless. And to be met with somebody that seems generally normal, sensible, and decent was such a fucking relief, y'all. Such a fucking relief. Like, it felt like best case scenario. And I couldn't help but show that I wanted also to very openly communicate my joy in this situation, because I'm very grateful for a normal person being around my daughter. If I have to deal with the situation, I'm glad that I don't have to deal with some kind of dumb person that's going to be influencing my daughter, or, just, bad moral, bad character, all that stuff. So anyways, the meeting went extremely well, as far as I can tell, as far as I felt. So that was that. We exchanged numbers, and I went about my way, right? So here we go, just living life. I'm over here like, we is really co-parenting. Like, he got a whole girl, and I'm thinking about birthdays, and I'm like, you know what? We about to be, you, me, your girl. Like, we can do this. It felt so good because I also was like, him having a girl, they got a new place together. They over here get to play house with my baby. Like, ain't no way he gonna be mad with me. Ain't no way he gonna treat me bad. He's got to be living his best. He got to be happy, So he's happy. Hopefully that means he can leave me alone and I can be happy, Wrong. So shortly thereafter, maybe it was a couple weeks. I don't know. This time frame was very short. It's within the last month or two. My ex had a death in the family, right? I knew about this, and a couple of days after that, I'm not sure how soon he knew when the funeral was going to be, but a few days after that, he texts me and says, hey, I got to drive down south for a funeral. I don't want to have our daughter with me, so would you mind if we switched weekends? I'll keep her this weekend, and then you can take her next weekend. I said, you know what? Yes, my condolences. I heard about your, family member. I'm so sorry to hear. Absolutely, we can switch. No problem. I didn't even think about it, because in my mind, regardless of what I had going on, I was not going to stop him from getting down there to be at that funeral. Like, there are things that are important, that are priority. I wasn't going to get in the way of that. And so said yes to the swap. So I ended up not having my daughter that weekend that I was supposed to. And then the next week was when I was supposed to pick her up for my weekend with her. The next weekend, when I was set to pick her up, that Thursday morning, I ended up, let me reverse this or go back first. I want to say the week or two leading up to this point, maybe a day or two here and there, I would wake up feeling like that feeling that you get when you are about to be sick. Like, you start feeling like that head pressure or like nasally, just like, oh, I feel off. That the moment that you go and you take that emergency, just because. I felt that a couple days. The Thursday that I woke up with, when I was supposed to pick up my daughter, I felt congested that morning. And I'm like, what the fuck? This shit is happening again? I was like, you know what? COVID has been going around. Let me just take a test, and just see what's up. Y'all, I took that test, and that goddamn positive was so strong. I was like, God, dog. Like, for real? It has been a minute. Like, literally, I have had COVID 4 times. My body just has fucking FOMO, and all the new shit that comes out my body's like, oh, let me get a piece of that. Like, good Lord. I think I've had every single strain that has come out. Luckily, it hasn't affected me badly, especially after the vaccine. Even prior to the vaccine, back in the early days of COVID, the symptoms weren't bad. I think I had a fever for one day. It was just weird. The symptoms were weird. But after the vaccine, the symptoms weren't nearly as weird, but they were there. But they weren't strong, still no fevers and all that other stuff. Anyways, this day I did not have a fever. And like I said, I woke up feeling congested, and then a couple hours and it went away. But I still could tell that I wasn't 100%. It was just that weird, like, you about to get sick kind of feeling. You about to start having a cold or sore throat. You feel like it's coming, and it just never drops. So that was what I had. I went ahead and I let my ex know, hey, I just tested positive for COVID. I feel okay. I don't have a fever. My symptoms are mild, are very mild. So I can still watch our daughter. But I wanted to see, if you want to take her with you down south, then you can. So he lets me know, I'm already down south, but my girlfriend's home, and she doesn't mind watching her. So I'm like, you know what, girl? You can do hard things. Put on your big girl panties and let this lady that you barely even know, the girl that is now with your ex-husband, watch your baby. Because, oh yeah, you know what I didn't tell y'all? This is the kicker. And this actually tells me a lot. when I was sitting with the girlfriend and we were talking, she told me, yeah, I don't know why he didn't introduce me sooner. I had been asking him to do this for a long time, but he just wouldn't. But we've been together since before your daughter's first birthday. Just to put that in context, y'all, my baby just turned 3. Right? She's 3 years old. Before her first birthday. So this woman has been in my daughter's life damn near as long as I have, right? Like, she's been in her life for 2 of the 3 years that she's been alive. A little over that, right? So going ahead, walking that back, that means that my ex has been with this woman for 2 whole years and gave me 4 fucking days notice that she existed and that they were moving in together. I'm gonna come back to that. Put a pin in that, but just understand the level of fuckery that we're dealing with from jump. Like, for real, like what is the point of that? But I will tell you. So anyways, I say, okay, has she been around our daughter long enough, like on her own, alone, for them to both feel comfortable? Do you feel comfortable with the situation? My ex said, yeah, I feel comfortable. And yes, she has. So I said, you know what? Okay. There's no point in me pretending like this is not okay when this is literally what happens every other weekend when she's with you alone. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to waste my time. Go ahead and get comfortable with that fact. So I said, all right, I'll go ahead and I'll make arrangements with her. So I go ahead and I text her. Mind you, this is the first time I've reached out to her because I didn't get her phone number to try to be besties or to try to be in her business. It's literally for situations like this. So I reach out to her, text her. We set up a time for her to pick up the car seat from me and get my daughter from daycare, and then everything goes smoothly. I then proceed to do video chats with her every day just to kind of check in, honestly, proof of life, but also really just check in with my baby, see how she's doing. Especially, I miss her. I missed my last weekend with her, and now time for me to pick her up, and I still can't see her. So, yeah, my daughter, it typically sees us every 2 to 3 days, unless we're on a holiday vacation where we'll go up to a week, but that's once or twice a year. It's not something frequent. She just turned 3. So anyways, check-ins went fine. Before she picked her up, I let her know, hey, I'm probably gonna pick her up on Saturday or Sunday so long as I don't develop a fever and my symptoms are, non-existent. So she was like, okay. And then I want to say it was the following day after she got my daughter. So this was a Friday. My ex texts me saying, hey, when you come to pick up our daughter on Tuesday, can you let me know if your test is positive or not, so I can make arrangements? Now, I know a reasonable person would do this because it's like the responsible thing to do, to make arrangements and everything like that. But my ex is not, he's not reasonable. This is part of his like game plan, his strategy. So I respect COVID and I respect people's fear of COVID. My ex has never been afraid of COVID. Being in the medical field, he understood, like, people don't really know how to actually stay clean, like, to really avoid contamination. And to live a life that way is just, it's just not practical. It's not going to happen. And we kind of just need to calm down so that we don't flood our healthcare system and we're able to actually take on this thing in much the same way that we're able to take on the flu every year. So anyways, that being said, him saying this, it's doing a lot. For one, he specifically said, when you pick her up on Tuesday. We've had no conversations of when I'm picking her up. He based that on the CDC 5-day isolation period. But that is based on when your symptoms, when you test, if you don't know when your symptoms began. Now, mind you, I told him I woke up this morning feeling a little congested and took a COVID test. So he knows that. He does not know that the week and a half prior, I'd also felt those symptoms a couple times. But didn't think anything of it. That was something that was more like, maybe I slept with the fan on too high, or maybe the AC was too cold, whatever the case may be. Felt more like an allergy attack happening that never actually happened. So anyways, he had no idea about those things. And, I didn't volunteer that information. He didn't ask. I didn't see the need. My ex, again, he doesn't communicate unless he feels like I absolutely have to know something. So many things that I do feel would be nice for me to know, many things that I would communicate to him if the shoes were on the other foot, he does not. And so while I have this desire to over communicate, I have to rein myself in when it's with him because it's not helpful. And this situation is exactly that. So him assuming that I was going to pick her up on Tuesday, and him making it seem as though I had to clear myself with him were two grave assumptions that he made. So I responded, letting him know, hey, actually, I was planning to come pick her up on Saturday or Sunday, so long as I didn't develop a fever and my symptoms were non-existent, like I said before. He then follows up with a screenshot of the CDC guidelines, as if I don't fucking know, because, again, your girl is quite the expert on COVID. I've had it quite a few times, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I responded, yeah. So 5 days would be Tuesday, but I feel fine. And me opting to allow your girlfriend to be with my daughter on that day, that was a choice. I didn't have to do that. I did not have to allow you to take care of her. I actually am able to still be a mother even if I have COVID. Like, that's kind of what single parents all over the world do. And believe it or not, honey, we single, and I'm allowed to be her mom even if I do have COVID. As a matter of fact, whatever I have, there's a good chance that I either got it from her or already passed it to her, because my symptoms already had started. So anyways, I did let him know, if for whatever reason I feel like I can't take care of her, you'll be the first to know, kind of thing. And I also suggested to him, if you don't feel comfortable with me picking her up Saturday and Sunday, then I don't mind waiting till Tuesday, but that would be the latest. And so that was that. He didn't respond to any more. He didn't ask me not to pick her up or anything. He just stopped communicating. So that was that. The next day, I feel better, video chatter in the morning, and then towards that evening, I'm like, all right, I've been feeling fine this entire day. I'm good. I can get her back. Also, mind you, I have somebody here that lives with me that is able to also assist in the care. And so, I was like, okay, I'll just, mask up and, keep my distance or whatever as much as I can, but it'll be fine. My ex then, so I text the girlfriend and say, hey, I'm going to pick her up tomorrow morning. This is going to be Sunday morning that I'm going to pick her up. And she's like, all right, sounds good. I'll let, she'll let my ex know. I said, okay, whatever. So then I ended up getting a text from my ex, again, about 8 p.m. at night or whatever, saying, with you testing positive for COVID, I think that you should remain isolated until Tuesday, per the CDC guidelines. Oh, I didn't mention, he also said, hey, I'm back in town. So it seems that he left his event early to kind of intercept me. But that's another story. And at this point, I am annoyed. You didn't respond to me before. You also didn't ask about, hey, do you know when your symptoms started? It was never a conversation. But at the very least, I was like, okay, we didn't have a conversation about it. So I said, hey, if you want to discuss this, please feel free to reach out. But I don't want to do this over text because things get misconstrued very quickly. I still do plan to pick her up tomorrow morning, though. And then, because I could sense that now it's about to be a problem, I said, you know what, Alexis, go and take another COVID test. Just go and take another COVID test and see what happens. If you're positive, then just fucking wait till Tuesday or whatever and just let him have it. So I go take a COVID test, and lo and behold, it's negative, y'all. Negative, free and clear. And I said, well, there you have it. So I went back and I texted him. I said, hey, I just took another COVID test and it's negative, if that makes you feel better. No response. So the next morning, I go ahead and I text him again to say, hey, I sent you an email with a proposed schedule. Let me know your thoughts, but I'll see you guys soon. I drive over there, all, 30 to 45 minutes away, and I pull up and there are no cars in the driveway, which is unusual. Usually his car or his sister's car, one of the cars is out front. Nothing's in the driveway. So I'm like, okay, either he's gone or he's on that bullshit. Then I saw his sister's car. It seemed to be his sister's car in the neighbor's driveway, parked behind their car. So I'm like, oh my goodness, they really about to be on this bullshit. I don't know what's going on, but I can sense in my bones that it's not gonna be good, right? So anyways, I do what I usually do. I park my car and I text them that I'm outside. That's usually what we do, is we pull up, park, text that we're outside, and the person just brings out our daughter. So I text him. I also text his girlfriend, because his girlfriend is actually whom I left her in the care of. So I text her, hey, I'm outside. Could you bring out her car seat and her blanket as well? No response, which isn't atypical. But what is atypical is nobody came out. 10 minutes go by, nobody comes out. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. I see how it's going to go. So I go ahead and first I call everybody that's in the household. I call my ex, I call his sister, and I call his girlfriend. Nobody answers the phone. I say, oh, that's where we're at now. So at that point, I go ahead and I call the police non-emergency line. I put in a request for a police presence saying, hey, I'm trying to pick up my daughter. My ex, I'm not sure if he's home or not, but he's refusing to bring her out. I just want to either, if somebody can help me in this situation or at least document it, that would be great. So they send a patrol car out. The police officers arrive and they tell me, yeah, we were actually already on our way when your call came in. Apparently he called to have you removed from the property. So I'm just like, what the actual fuck? Are you kidding me? So I guess he is home. He's just looking outside the window watching me this entire time that I text him, and I'm waiting for him to bring out my daughter. So, okay, this is what it is. So the officer comes, he kind of takes my statement. I let him know, hey, yeah, I had COVID, but then I tested negative last night. This was my weekend. I came to pick her up to spend some time with her before the weekend ends. And he's just refusing to bring her out to me. And so the officer's like, yeah, well, we can't forcibly remove a child, but we can definitely go and see if he's willing to release her. I mean, the fact that you tested negative for COVID, and even if you didn't test negative, that doesn't supersede your parental rights. Me, I'm like, yeah, duh. I know all this. So yeah, please do go and ask and see. But he said, at the very least, we can take a report if he won't release her. So I said, all right. So I get back in my car, wait. He goes and knocks on the door, talks to them, comes back to me and is like, yo, he seems really distraught. He seems, just super emotional, like just tears. He seems to be really fearful of you and this whole COVID situation. And he is just not having it. Oh yeah. He said he was kind of like talking in circles. He said, I explained to him over and over that, you tested negative and you can't, take away her parental rights, even if she did have COVID. And he's like, he just kind of kept talking in circles. I said, okay, so we got ourselves a whole ass white woman out here. I said, you know what? I'm not going to feed into this. I'm not going to make a scene. There's nothing that you can do, officer. I understand. You go ahead and make that report, and I'll be on my merry way. So he goes ahead. He makes the report. Comes back and he also said, by the way, he had you trespassed off the property. So I'm going to need you to move your car to the road. You're not allowed to be on this property anymore, or you could be arrested. I said, oh, I'm here to pick up my daughter per our court-ordered parenting plan, which we have been doing like clockwork 2 times a week for the past 2.5 years. And I'm kicked out of his driveway? That's legal? Apparently. So anyways.
All right, guys. Yep, you guessed it. That's all for today, folks. You're going to have to catch the rest of this conversation next week, airing Wednesday. And trust me, it gets better. So thank you so much as always. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel, y'all. Tell your friends about me. If you have anybody that might want to listen to this, go ahead and share it, y'all. go ahead and share it. If you listen to the podcast by audio, actually they have video as well. But if you like podcasts, check us out on all the streaming platforms. That's Anchor FM, that's Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Wherever you look for podcasts, we're there. If you are on social media, check me out. It's is_Alexis. So that's ISS_Alexis. No E, no I, double S. If that isn't confusing enough, just check the link in the description for all of my handles. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys in another episode. Bye.